Oh no! Gogmazios is going to hit me with his superheated tar beam! My turn! Hello, my fellow hunters. Welcome those that choose to follow me along the glorious path of immortality! Title Update 4 has been good to us. Not just good, it has been excellent. I have 4 immortal sets to show you today. And we have a new best base immortal set that doesn't require any RNG talismans or gogma or anything like that. Yeah, the classic 4 Zoshir and then an ever slightly increasing waist piece has been usurped. Never in my wildest dreams did I think this could happen. I expected Title Update 4 with the armor Transcending to essentially result in me going, hey, the immortal sets are pretty much what they were before, but we can fit in a few more offensive skills. We can maybe add an extra 2 set here or there for some more healing, which is kind of neat. And we have a higher total defense, so we take a little bit less damage. Look at it, walling Gog. Alright, see you later. And while yes, it's still walls Gog, here, of course, is our customary, lovely, full AFK, and by AFK I mean gently walking towards him because he's so big and you can't get rid of some support hunters even if you're completely solo because they're not technically part of the hunt, so I wanted him to actually be hitting me, so he is actually hitting me, but I'm not fighting back or dodging or anything, you know how this works, and he can't do anything for 5 minutes. Which I'm sure you can agree is very, as they say, cool. Anyone say cool anymore? In any case, there are 2 main heroes of Title Update 4 when it comes to pushing the never carting possibilities, the never need to drink any potions or heal in ever way, the never need to stop attacking the monster because the monster literally can't do anything with you sets that are immortal. The first, of course, is Gogmazios Artian, giving us an extra set bonus, which means we can do things like use 4 set Bale for Soul of the Dark Knight, that shield, the ridiculous regen afterwards, and on top of that, add something like 2 set Zoshir, or 2 set Arkveld for even more healing. And then Gogmazios' armor itself is the other big driver, because it has extra set bonuses on top of its own, some of which are Zoshir. And this lets us do ridiculous things like have a 4 set and a 2 set and another 2 set all active at once, all contributing to you being an absolute iron wall of unkillableness. And because we're getting to the point where every armor piece is so good, offensively, we're still absolutely fine. It's kind of ridiculous how much the power of these sets has kept up with their defensive nature. In any case then, it's hard to even know where to begin here, but I suppose we should with Gogmapocalypse. Mutual hostility then. The elemental bonus is fairly decent. Obviously, it's nothing to do with immortalness, but hey, plus 20 and then 20% of base at rank 1, and then plus 40 and 30% of base at rank 2, means that we're going to be using elemental weapon with this immortal setup because we might as well reap those benefits, especially when you're going against Gogmazios anyway and you need to bring some dragon. But of course, what we care about is that mutual hostility 2 unique effect. And you gain a temporary damage barrier. You know how excited I was when I read those words? How much I was looking forward to this very build? In any case, how this works is fairly straightforward. When the monster enrages, the Gogmapocalypse set bonus activates. Obviously, if the training dummy can't get mad, it's made of barrels, but we can force it to happen, thankfully, by just triggering it on. And when it goes on, you can see this swirly, oily effect around your hunter. That means you've got the barrier. This will be applied, as I said, the second the monster gets enraged. But how does this actually work? Well, if we look at our health bar, just imagine your health bar is 1/3 longer. We have 150 health as a hunter, and this barrier is near as damn it 75 health worth of shield. So if a monster would do half your health in one attack, it will delete the barrier in one attack. Which on the surface sounds a little bit lame, right? Once per enrage, you can get hit by one sort of medium strength attack for free. Ooh! But in reality, that's not the case. And the reason that's not the case is, apart from being able to heal the barrier, the health, the shield it generates, for all intents and purposes, works exactly the same as regular health. Which means it's affected by your mitigation, it's affected by your skills. Divine Blessing can proc when you get hit. So if I put the training dummy to hit as hard as it can, well, you'll see that, look, Defender Meal procced, and I took no damage. The next one hits, and oh look, we got our fake Divine Blessing again, and we still took no damage. Oh, we are still taking no damage. Interesting. Oh, once again, we are taking no damage. So because the Immortal set has so many ways of lowering and preventing the damage that you take, that 75 health barrier that gets applied to you is actually worth in real time massively more than that. It's kind of ludicrous how many hits this can take. A good example here is me getting slapped by Gogmazios multiple times while trying to put our health recovery song on that's part of Immortal, and I'm just taking no damage. It literally looks like you're playing with cheats. I have been hit by this training dummy now about 15 times, and it's on the highest strength setting. It is still not broken through the barrier. Is that not absolutely ludicrous? And beyond just giving us a huge parcel of extra health, because it adds it on top of your regular health, if you were injured when this barrier gets applied, well then you start healing up your real health to reach full again, and there we go! It took about 20 smashes of the highest strength training dummy to get rid of that barrier. Obviously it's instantly reapplied because it's the training dummy, so it doesn't have its cooldown. The cooldown, by the way, is 2.5 minutes. Basically it's one barrier per enrage, which is still very worth. But if you're injured, the barrier goes on, Zoshia kicks in, and it starts healing you up to full, and by the time the barrier breaks, you're back on full health, ready to not die again because you've got full health to work with. It's so beautifully synergistic. It also lets us work with something else that got buffed in Title Update 4 that's incredibly exciting for Immortal. And that is Gravios' Protection, the Gravios 2 and 4 set. This was always interesting, but ultimately garbage. Reduces the damage you take at full health. It was such a low amount, and only for the hit you take while at full health, and on terrible Gravios armor, that there was just nothing doing. But now 3 things have happened. It's been buffed, so rank 1 is a 20% damage reduction, which is meaty. That's only a little bit under Rocksteady Mantle. It's also now a Transcend armor piece, so it's actually good. It also can roll on Gogma Artian, so it's easier to get that way too. But we have the Gogmapocalypse Shield, which is your full health. So if your green is full when that shield is applied, which is likely, and if it's not, it'll get there very quickly after it's being applied, which means that for the duration that this shield lasts, you're just taking 20% less damage thanks to flawless armor, which is just so delicious. And that's only possible because one of the Gogmazios pieces has Gravios set bonus, which allows us to have 4 set Gogmazios, 2 set Gravios, and still 2 set Zoshia. So we get shields, we barely take damage, and we're constantly healing any damage we do take. Guys, it's so peak! Though, if you are wondering, no, you cannot survive Gogmazios' big ultimate super attack. It's just a straight up it kills you trigger when it goes off if you're not doing one of the mechanical protections or weakened him enough, so it kind of is what it is. That said, you can just fully out-heal the actual major burn, melting damage that goes on before he hits the ground, which I find absolutely hilarious. But hey, it's like trying to immortal through Sapphire of the Emperor, it's just never gonna happen, as much as I really hate that. So, weaponry then. You, of course, want to be using a Gogma Artian, not just for the fact that for the advanced sets we will need the extra set bonus skill roll, like I've got Zoshia's Pulse here, but because they're just the best weapons in the game now. You want to have whatever is best for your weapon type, so for me on Greatsword, it should be full attack, but sadly the weapon that I got Zoshia's Pulse on has an affinity roll that I really need to put into attack, but hey, it's also not the worst thing in the world either, but that is the way that it is. Also, ideally make sure that it is element, both because that is a nice little damage addition, and Dragon for Gog specifically is required, and also adds a lot of damage, but also so we actually get use out of the elemental side of the Gogmazios 4 set, you may as well. In any case then, I'll go over specific active skill rolls when we get to the builds that need them. For now, let's start with the classic updated, the original Immortal build in its proper Zoshia form. And indeed, the Suja Sash is back once again. It took a little break, and it's returned triumphant thanks to armor transcending. So this is just your classic, it's with a crafted talisman, and it's got that beautiful, perfect list of skills with everything maxed, literally the triumvirate of immortality. Literally the quartet of immortality, that is defense boost, divine blessing, recovery up and recovery speed, the elemental absorption's a lovely bonus, and there's still enough of a smattering of offensive skills in there to make it work. Of course, if you're not a maximum might weapon, you swap them out for something else, but as it stands, yeah, this is just really good. Constant ticking healing, twice as fast as the 2 set, we know how this works by now. But a special shout out to the Suja now being able to go up to 86 defense, and get a 3 and a 2 slot, which is really, really satisfying. This does what it says on the tin, and there's nothing too incredibly special here. Though, by the way, to note, because of armor transcending, your rarity 8 highest armor pieces now are worth 94 defense each, and these immortal sets are going to be like 540 to 580 out the box, which is just ludicrous amounts of mitigation, and another reason why the shield from 4 set Gogmazios is so good. Right, before we get into the actual 4 set Gogmazios stuff, we do need to address Bale, because it's still an incredibly potent and viable immortal path to take. And for a little refresher on that, 4 set Bale of course gives you the Blackest Night, which lets you hit a counter, which then reduces you to 1 red health, which we instantly heal up as you can see, and it also makes every attack you do while the buff is active heal you, which is obviously really, really good. And it also means that while the buff is active, you are only allowed to have red health, which, given how fast we heal red health, is, yeah, kinda ridiculous in the immortal sense. So, going full 4 set Bale became quite the alternative side grade that has loads of potential if you want to more offensively get in there and attack immortal playstyle with just less constant passive healing when you're outside of the Blackest Night buff. However, thanks to Gogmazios Artian, that changes, because I have got Arkveld's Hunger here, which means combined with the Arkveld piece I'm using alongside 4 set Bale, gives us 4 set Bale and 2 set Hasten Recovery. What 2 set Hasten Recovery does is every few hits with the Greatsword, you will heal a chunk of health. It's nothing crazy, but combined with recovery up and just the general lack of damage we're taking, that's really nice, and it gives you that sustain outside of the Blackest Night buff. Now truly, the 2-set that you pair 4-set Bale with could be Zoshia's Pulse, but then that loses all usability during the Blackest Night buff. It could be Guardian arkveld, so you heal when you pop a wound, but late endgame monsters don't have that many wounds, so ultimately I settled on Hasten Recovery. But in any case, this is a really nice combination that smooths out the Bale up and down curve and lets you play this style even better. So it does mean that you need a Gogmazios Artian with arkveld's Hunger on it to make that happen for you. And of course, technically speaking, Element is still going to be best because Dark Arts does give you increased element damage too. Now, for this then, as you can see, we've got Bale Helmet, Chest, your Arc Vulcan Arms, Bale Waist, Bale Legs, and the usual, like, Giga Immortal Talisman that is your Defense Boost 3, Divine Blessing 2, and 2 and 1. When you've got all this together and you decorate it up, it looks a little something like this. We get 4 Resentment, which of course is very handy because Bale lets us use that a fair amount. 4 Latent Power, which again, very handy because just pressing Veil basically triggers it. You've got your Counterstrike, your Maximum Might, and then the lovely Immortal skills that we've come to expect. Now, Defense Boost is only air quotes at level 4 because to get it to level 7, we have to give up 3 ranks collectively between Maximum Might and Counterstrike. And while you can do that, it does offensively lower you a fair amount, and while offense is never, of course, the main goal of Immortal, when you're playing this Bale version that wants you to be aggressive, that wants you to be hitting in order to heal, it does play into it more thematically to lean on a bit of damage, and for only losing 3 ranks of defense, when our defense is already this high now thanks to Transcending Armor, we start to hit a bit of diminishing returns, so it's a fair trade-off, but you can make that choice. In any case, this works beautifully. It's incredibly tanky, as we saw with the Omega Title Update 3 main Immortal build. You can watch that if you want a proper refresher, tester, focused Bale showcase, but it is something to, of course, mention here. Now then, let's get on to the new stars of the show. Our new best standard Immortal build that doesn't need an RNG Talisman, and indeed doesn't need an RNG Gogmazios roll on your weapon. All you need is Gogmazios Helm, Chest, Braces, Waist, and then your Zoshia Legs, specifically Alpha. What this will give you then is, of course, 4-set Gogmazios, and then 2-set Zoshia, as we've got the Zoshia Legs, and one of the pieces of Gogmazios gives you that Zoshia. And then we use the classic Defense Charm 5. So to say this is no RNG anywhere, what you actually end up with is quite spectacular. And it looks a little something like this. Your full defense boost, blessing, recovery up, and speed, elemental absorption 2, which is honestly really good, it gives a lot of elemental resist, and then your counterstrike, which is always great on Immortal because you don't care about being knocked around or hit. Peak performance actually comes into play with the Gogmazios Shield, we get to use it for a while, the Adrenaline Rush, and the burst, and the maximum might and agitator is all just nice little bonuses to what's going on here. And what is going on here is we just get essentially a better trade-off than using just full 4-set Zoshia, though of course that classic set, I showed you it for a reason, it's still plenty good if you just prefer constant passive healing. But the shield that 4-set Gogmazios gives you is worth more than going from 2 to 4-set Zoshia when you count for the mitigation that the Immortal set provides, and therefore this is just a direct upgrade. The smattering of offensive skills is equivalent to the Zoshia one, and the extra elemental damage is the cherry on top. It really is just a lovely set that does exactly what you need it to do, and lets us use our new Gogmaziness. Also, 550 defense just sat there before anything even activates is just ludicrous. So, that's your new standard Immortal then. Now, if we have a perfect Talisman and we have a perfect Gogma Artian, well, let's introduce Gravios to the mix. That looks a little something like this. The usual Defense Divine Blessing Talisman, Gogmazios Legs, Waist, Arms, and Head, and then Gravios Chest transcended up. And the reason I like this, the reason it's so beautiful to me, is we get to have 4 set Gogmazios, right? And that's great. Normally, we could only add a 2 set on top of that, the remaining piece of armor and the weapon. But because the Gogmazios pieces themselves have Zoshia's Pulse on the helmet and Gravios' protection on the legs, well, that means that we can use that leftover piece of the armor and the weapon to finish those 2 sets. So getting to play with 4 set Gogmapocalypse, 2 set Flawless Armor, and 2 set Super Recovery at the same time is delicious. And to say I was ecstatic when I spotted this combination is an understatement. This setup of armor and set bonuses might be my single favorite thing about Title Update 4, because it's so freaking good. Like, I cannot imagine a world that Immortality ended up this good. I thought Sunbreak would be near impossible to beat when it came to the final form of Immortality in that game. Now, technically, this probably isn't the final form, because Arch-Tempered Arkveld armor's got a lot of potential, but it's also entirely possible this is the final form, and if that's true, well, that is fine by me, because this is perfect. Let's decorate it up then to give us thus: full defense boost, your divine blessing, recovery up, and speed. We even get 2 ranks for mental absorption, which is really, really nice. And then the bit of burst, the bit of agitator is really cool. The counterstrike, maximum might, peak performance, 5 peak performance you actually do get to use because of the shield. It's not like we're choosing to have it, it's just part of the set, so it's there, and you know, it's nice that it actually does something. And then you can make this one flayer whatever you want, but 1 rank of flayer after the buff in Title Update 4 the skill got is actually really good and contributes a lot of damage by itself. It's like just adding White Flame Torrent to the build, essentially, and for an Immortal set that wants as much damage as it can get, that's a really valuable 1 rank in 1 decoration slot. But of course, do what you wish. If you're not a max might weapon, then swap this mighty jewel out for something else as well, and this is where we end up. And if you want to know the kind of potential this has in terms of damage output while being, as you've seen, just unkillable to the nth degree, comes to 450 EFR, on top of the elemental damage enhanced by Gogmazios 4 set, on top of that 1 rank of flayer if you choose to use it. And to note, weapon decoration wise, if you are a crit boost 5 weapon, swapping 2 of the crit boost for 3 expert with this low affinity is going to be better for you. In any case, that is really good for an Immortal build. Like, that is better than some of the previous Title Updates, like meta sets. Obviously, power creep has moved on, but it's really, really strong and more than enough damage to comfortably in good time do any hunt in the game, with the added bonus that you literally can't die. It's so fun, it's so powerful, and I am so happy with it. And if you want to use it with a crafted talisman, of course you still need the Gogmazios with Zoshia's Pulse on it, but you can put on the defense charm and then swap to defense decorations for divine blessing and just accept 2 less than max defense at level 5. Everything else is as it was, and this is still going to be absolutely phenomenal for you, so don't think you need the god charm to make this work. It's just brilliant either way. After that then, just a reminder to make sure the Queen Cordmaker is your secondary weapon, the Hunting Horn, and that is so we can play that recovery speed song, because it stacks with both an immunizer and recovery speed skill. Your general pre-fight ritual, as it were, and you also want to do this once every 3 minutes, is just before you engage the monster, you want to have yourself a hard shell powder, make sure you have Mega Armor Skin on at all times, grab yourself a little adamant seed, nice and crunchy, and then drink your immunizer. Finally, you are going to want to swap to your hunting horn and play the song in question, like so. And you can, of course, do this on your sacred, no need to get off it and save time there swapping weapons. Once that is active, you have 3 minutes of red health doesn't exist for you, so you essentially take 50% less damage on top of all the less damage you're taking. And this is why when we do take damage, you can see how how quickly the red health just zoops back up, and it's ludicrous. Not to mention, we're sat at 640 defense. Make sure you also eat the feast that gives you Defender Meal High, Kunafa, top left. That is the best immortal feast. And that's kind of it, really. You are good to go. Enjoy your new Gogmazios Shield, the Gravios damage reduction, with Zoshia healing still to back it up, and any of the other flavors of Immortal we've talked about today too. It really is so wonderful to see, and I couldn't be happier. Let me know how you guys get on with it. It means the world to me how many of you look forward to and enjoy the Immortal series. It really is just, Gogmazios really has brought the gifts for this holiday season, and then some. For now then, like you've enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more, consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.